Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. I have before you Shoe. This is one of our female Oregon red spotted garter snakes. And before I really get into the topic of this video, which is brumation, just take a moment to gaze in wonder at this snake. My goodness, how garter snakes aren't even more popular than they are, I will never understand. The small size, ease of care, voracious appetite, and the color. There are very few groups of snakes anywhere as colorful as a garter snake. And it comes in such an easy to handle package. They're not big. Even the very largest garter snakes are really not a big snake. They're not dangerous. I love garter snakes. So, I really wanted to talk about brumation. This is a female. She is nearing adulthood. I think she'll be 3 in the spring. Last year we brumated, I think, 2 of our garter snakes. I'll have to look back. Gavin was saying 1. Either way, we tried out brumation and it actually was super smooth. Historically, we've only really kept species that don't brumate. Even our first colubrid was an eastern indigo, and they don't really brumate. So, you know, the indigos are really just from the furthest southern portions of the United States. The eastern indigos I'm talking about. And while they do have a cool down, they don't really brumate where they, drop their heart rate and their breathing and stop eating entirely and all that. But these garter snakes do. Again, this is an Oregon species. They go through real winter weather. So, what we did last year, we're going to mimic. We're going to do it again because it worked really, really well. We're going to take them to our house where we have a crawl space. And the crawl space stays very consistently in the 40s. Sometimes all the way up into the high 50s, all the way down to about 40 degrees. Okay? Which I am comfortable with for our garter snakes. So we'll put them in small enclosures. We won't feed them, and we will make it so they don't get much exposure to light, and we will brumate them at those temperatures. Now, we're going to do it gradually. So here in another week, we're going to stop feeding them entirely. About a week or 2 after that, we're going to turn off their supplemental heat. This is all here at the barn where it's pretty warm already. Then we're going to move them to our house without any heat. And a few days after that, we will put them down in the crawl space. And we will probably end up brumating them for 8 weeks or so. I want to say 8 to 10 weeks. I know that a lot of people do longer than that, and I know that in nature they go longer than that. We're not going to go longer than that. So, anyone who's upset with us can just deal with it. But they will get a good brumation still. And when they come out of brumation, they start eating super, super heavily. We've got this female who I need to actually contact some people who've done this before. I'm finding conflicting information on how big and old they need to be to breed. Garter snakes, especially, some of these species we work with a lot, are not big snakes at all. However, she's very small in my eyes. So I don't want to breed her if she's too small. She is about 3 feet long, and she'll be about 3 years old. Both of those markers are what people have told me you can breed them at. She just seems so small still, so I don't want to risk her health. But so anyways, I'm gonna reach out to some people who know better than I do and get a good idea of what kind of weight they need to have to safely breed. We have an adult male who lives at our house full time. So that is the tentative plan, is to figure out, can she safely breed or does she need 1 more year still? Either way, she's going to brumate. The male's going to brumate. Our other female's going to brumate. And that is the plan. So let me know what you think. Again, anyone who's thinking about brumating your snakes, I think that it is important to do it gradually. You don't want any food left in their stomach when you put them down in brumation. So you got to do it slowly. Stop feeding them while it's still warm. Wait a while so they can make sure to pass all that first, and then you stop feeding, or then you can cut the heat and all that and move them down into the colder, darker places. I do tend to think brumation needs to be pretty cold. You can't just turn off their heat lamp and leave them at room temperature and expect them to brumate properly. They do need to get pretty cold. I just don't think that their system is actually going to slow down enough if it's still room temperature. So they're still going to be at their normal metabolic rate, only you've stopped feeding them, and that's not good. So if you do want to brumate, because it's a natural process, certainly if you're going to breed them, they're going to breed more easily if they brumate, then I do think that you have to have a safe way to do it in colder temperatures. You know, most of us can't just stick them outside. Certainly I can't. In Alaska, they would just die. So think through carefully before you brumate them. But if you have a way to do it, I think it's excellent. I honestly believe it extends their life a little bit. It's something that they evolved to do. So if you have a way to do it safely for them, go for it. And that is all. So again, Shu, Chimera, her sister, and then Godzilla, the male, will all be brumating. We also have an albino checkered garter snake who will be brumating. And then we might brumate the Florida blue stripes. Not sure about those ones yet. We'll see. But that's where we're at. So let me know what you guys think. If you have any advice for me before we do this, I'm all ears. But thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, we are the Reptile Barn.